Good evening, listeners and viewers of This Week in Interview, and especially you, my audience on This Week in Interview. Welcome to another episode of This Week in Interview with your host and guide, Anthony Drago. It's a pleasure to have you. And so, we're going to have a really wonderful conversation tonight. I have two guests tonight. Both from Castle Bruce, Mr. Adrian Banis, and well, they're both pastors as well. So Pastor Adrian Banis and Pastor Billy Sanderson are my guests tonight, and they're not here in their capacities necessarily as pastors. They're here in their capacity as people who are involved in the production of food, because our program tonight is to talk about food and food production and food security, because on the 10th of October, on Monday, not the 10th, the 16th of October, we celebrated 16th of October, the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, commemorated World Food Day. And the theme for this year is water is life, water is food, leave no one behind. And we're going to try to talk around that theme with two gentlemen who have contributed significantly to the production of food in Dominica. So this is the time where I ask you to grab your favorite beverage, grab a glass of water, take a notepad and a pen, um, tell 5 people that This Week in Interview is live, and we'll be right back. And I'll introduce you to my two wonderful guests, very accomplished guys in the field of agriculture and food production. And we're going to settle down to have this wonderful conversation that I get to share with you. So we'll be right back. All right, welcome back, folks. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with me through this quick little break. As I said to you, tonight we are going to be talking about food and the production of food. On the 16th of October, the Food and Agriculture Organization celebrated World Food Day. And with World Food Day celebration, the theme this year is water is life, water is food, leave no one behind. And anytime there is anything that has to do with water, Dominica should be excited. I know I am excited when it talks about water. And so tonight I'm super excited because we're talking about water and we're talking about food. Essential things that we need for survival. You can survive couple seconds, probably minutes without air. You can survive a longer time without food. You have a hard time surviving without water and fresh water that can be used in agriculture. My guest tonight, as I said, Pastor Adrian Banis and Pastor Billy Sanderson. And they agreed to come on here and talk to us about the production of food, food security, and all of those things that we sometimes take for granted, especially if you are in Dominica. You take water for granted and you take food for granted, because you know why? You know why we take all of this for granted? Because it's so abundant. It is really abundant. And so when stuff is abundant, it's like air. We take it for granted. We breathe. We expect that every time we go, we get air that is clean and fresh enough that we don't cough and it doesn't make us sick. Every time we turn on our tap, we get water. Or we go not far and there's a river available for us to have a bath with. And so, especially if you're from Dominica, but if you're from the Caribbean in general, because in the Caribbean we don't really have deep poverty. You have some people who have some lack, but we sort of have still, I think, have that thing where people don't really go hungry and we don't see famine. We don't see too many kids who are malnourished and obviously with malnutrition and all of that. And so we tend to take food production and food for granted. And so I want to really talk about that with these gentlemen who have contributed so much in the production of food. And let us see if we can understand them with an idea of how we can help them to replace themselves, because that's how we're going to get food security, is to get folks who are active in the industry, um, to encourage others to do like them, especially young people, encourage them to get in there. So without too much more ado, let me introduce you to my two wonderful guests. Pastor Billy Sanderson has been on before. As a matter of fact, the last time he was on, we were talking about World Earth Day. Very close, Earth or Soil, I think that's Earth Day. Very closely related. It's all intertwined. And of course, Adrian Banis is an entrepreneur and agro processor, and just the things that he does in his own little establishment are just so fascinating. I remember right before I left Dominica, he was just getting started making plantain chips, and I think he was doing some stuff with dashing and different products. And so I am anxious to find out where he is with all of that and what other activities that he's involved with. So join me in giving a very warm welcome, a very warm welcome to Billy Sanderson and Adrian Abanez. Full disclosure, tonight you have three Castlebrooks guys on air. we're
That's
all from
good.
the we're all from the village of Castlebrooks, so you're going to see some Castlebrooks wisdom being distributed and spread around the place. Gentlemen, it's a pleasure to have you guys. As they say, you're homeboys. It's wonderful to have both of you. Um, Adrian, because Billy has been here before, I'm going to let you go first in saying good night to the audience.
Well, good night to everybody. Good night to you, Mr. Drago. I'm really, really proud of you to see what you are doing in the US, and now you are connecting with us in Dominica. And I want your listeners, I want to say it's really a pleasure having all of you. And I want to say welcome. And we are going to have a very important discussion about water is life and water is food. So they kind of interject with each other. Water is life and water is food. So tonight, I believe that we can share our expertise, share our experiences, and to see how we can encourage the young people, encourage other people to get involved in agriculture in a big way and in a smarter way, so we can have food security as we move forward.
Certainly. And Billy, so I'm going to call Billy Sanderson Billy, and I'm going to call you Adrian. You know,
Yeah,
just because being from Castlebrooks as a young boy, everybody in the village called you Billy as well. So I'll call you
yeah.
Adrian, and I'll call Billy Sanderson Billy. So
All
Billy,
right.
welcome back to this weekend interview. It's a pleasure to have you. I'll invite you to make some opening remarks around the whole concept of World Food Day, which was celebrated on the 16th of October.
Good night to our listeners, and of course, it's indeed another pleasure to be back on this program. And of course, welcome my partner. And of course, in the village of Castle, where we're from, both of us are called Billy, so that's why Tony has to make that unique distinction on the program tonight to ensure that we don't get confused as to who is who. All right. So, but it's pretty good to be on tonight, and a pretty interesting topic indeed, because we are at a very crucial part or crucial point in the history of humanity, of course, in our world today. Very challenging times, and of course, food has to be a very critical issue to speak about, to discuss. And Adrian, as we were just speaking and he was introducing and he said two pastors. I'm like, in my spirit, I just, what two better people to be talking about food production? Because you know what? When God created the Garden of Eden, that was his intention. That food production, water and food production would have been sustainable for the rest of our life with no problems. And so it's quite interesting, that we both pastors do speak here tonight on the whole issue of food production, of course, and to really help our young people or younger people. We are still in the
Well, I'll apologize, but acknowledge that Billy is in Dominica and Casabres area, and so he's having some internet challenges. So what we'll do is that whenever he's on, we'll give him the opportunity to speak, because might tend to have him back on and off. Billy, you disappeared there for a minute, but
yeah.
you're back with
I
us now.
think the internet is giving a little bit of
We have
troubles.
some
Sometimes
we
it's
have some
very stable,
internet
but I
challenges.
think over
Yes.
the last few days it's been troubled a bit.
So
Yeah.
so Billy,
So
I
I was
know you.
just
Yeah, go
wrap up
ahead.
very briefly.
Mhm.
Just it's great to be back, to be here, and looking forward to this discussion tonight that we can all benefit and help each other to really address those issues and concerns as we go forward in the generations and years to come.
Yeah. So what I was saying is that because you have internet
Hmm.
challenges, when we have you, we're going to mostly engage you in case we lose you. So if with indulgence of Adrian, I'm going to stick with you for a little bit, and ask you. I know you were involved with the Ministry of Agriculture. In the role of like an extension officer, working with farmers and advising farmers, which means that you had a very good idea of farming activity and food production, especially in the Casabres district area. And so you have a sense as to how does it compare now to how it was, let's say, 20 years ago, in terms of food production? Is our food production more secure, or is there more we can be doing to safeguard our production of food in Dominica?
That's a pretty interesting begin at, and of course, where it is at right now as compared to where it used to be is, of course, there's significant room for improvements, and
Mhm.
of course, I think we have fallen short by some means. I'm not sure really what has happened. Well, I shouldn't say I'm not sure. I think we have taken a slide, like you commented earlier, and I think we tend to take a lot of things for granted. So our whole food production system has been taken for granted, and we sort of assume that okay, so it's easy. Like we have the saying that says, you push anything in the ground in Dominica, you turn your back and you go, and you come back and you have something to eat, and it's going to produce. And so I think that, and of course, without taking all the due diligence and having the appropriate policies and a lot of things in place, our agriculture has really dwindled and has dropped significantly. So our export production, our even our local consumption. So in other words, our national food security is being threatened, if I might put it that way. All right. So there's not all that food available alone, and this is a concern for us. How did a country, if I use those words, a food-rich country like Dominica, almost become a country where it's food poor? Um, some people might not totally agree with me, but because the thing is, you're going to find in some seasons mass production of one commodity or few commodities, and you cannot find markets. But if you have to do on average consistently across the entire spectrum of a year, and really average that, you're going to find that there are serious shortfalls in our food production, because in some instances that has been coupled with water. So that's why the theme is actually real fitting, and really it's important for us now to see how we work and merge those two dynamics so that we can maintain our whole food production system. So for instance, in the Casablanca area where we had a significant opportunity of about $13 million injection for irrigation that came from the EU funding. I mean, it's this system has gone down. So obviously, apart from you may have some farmers going out of production, but of course it's going to impact the productivity of the farms in the area. So although you could have less farmers and you could have increased productivity because they could use irrigation and really increase the production significantly and widen the crop base, the product base, if that is absent, of course you have a problem that has to be rectified. And so at this time in our nation, we really have to redevelop serious strategies and policies that will help to see how we can, one, safeguard our food product, our national food security, because that's crucial and important. Because if you look at what's happening globally, we'll understand that it's crucial that we maintain, that we ensure our national food security is maintained, and of course, and to at the same time increase our whole ability to export, because of course we have a region to feed. There are lots of countries in the region who do not have the potential and the capacity to produce food like we do, and not just produce like we do, but the critical thing is all year round. And that's why the thing is so important. Water is food, because of our the amount, the abundance of water and rainfall in our nation. We have that unique ability and capability of producing food almost all year round without any trouble, major troubles, whereas a lot of countries do not have that. So it almost gives us a responsibility for the food production, or for the food supply for a lot of the other countries in the region. And so that's why we know where we can begin to broaden our whole food production sector to not just focus on us, but to focus on a region where, if you, I mean, as you would know, Tony, a lot of our countries in the region are beginning to have serious issues for water, and droughts are really affecting a lot of our countries in the region. And coming from a very extended period of drought that we've not had for a while. Even today I was speaking to some farmers who are normally very large vegetable production producers, and they said to me, "We have no vegetables." Of course, and
Wow.
that's because of the impact of the drought that we just had, and of course they don't have water. That's why there's water in Dominica, but the availability of water for production. And so that's why this is an interesting discussion tonight. And so these are just some of my very opening comments in that. And that lends itself for us to really think deeply as to how we can re-strategize. We can go back to the drawing board and really create initiatives and whatever policies that will really help to bring back not just national food security, but the whole regional food
Regional
security.
food security.
So
Okay.
many countries in the region are depending on our food supplies. All right.
That's
So
good. That's good. Yeah. So you painted a nice picture as to where we are. Um, Adrian, Billy mentioned something about markets. He said there may be instances where folks are producing and there may not be markets for them. And I imagine that's a large influence in discouraging people from going into farming and food production. I remember as a young boy, one time there was a drive to produce ginger. And in the Castlereagh area, you would be driving at the farms and you would see mongs of ginger that people harvested that just stayed there and just started growing plants. Um, and I remember, young people looking at that and thinking, this farming thing is risky, it's uncertain. We lost the banana regime, preferential treatment, which killed the banana industry. Um, we have a lot of service type jobs that pull people away from the rural areas where farming happens into rural zone where they have other types of jobs. You went in the opposite direction, if I should say it that way. Because right around when everybody was being discouraged from agriculture, I remember you taking it to the next level and going into agro processing. And so that is going in the correct direction. Whereas Billy was trying to suggest, even if you don't go in terms of volume, in terms of the number of people, maybe if you use technology and you apply agro-processing principles, you can increase the value. So I want you to talk first about your experience as an entrepreneur who saw an opportunity not only to be a farmer, but to provide a means for farmers to add value and to explore different markets because you will be processing the raw um, produce and package it and be able to give it a longer shelf life, expand the market that will apply to. Tell us about your experience. Give us, your story. I know it will take more than an hour to give us your full story, but you probably have a nutshell version of it, of your experience as an entrepreneur who ventured into that processing aspect of agriculture.
Yes, again, good night, everybody. Yeah, I remember, well, you know where I was born, Toronto,
Mhm.
and your mom had some land in Toronto where
Right
she
next
was
door.
and plant cassava. She had love planting her cassava,
Yeah.
and I used to assist her in doing the farine and cassava and stuff like that. But and we had CDC right next side of the river in Toronto. And I remember coming from school every day, just giving you a short
Mhm.
introduction of my experience. And I used to see all these long bananas on the ground, especially after a hurricane. And we eat a lot of ripe bananas. And I used to say, one day I will turn these bananas into something that people can eat in a pack. And I was just saying that every time I passed and I saw it. Every time I saw the bananas on the ground, I would say that. And when I grew up to be, and I never left farming because I love farming. I continued to farm. I continued to get land, buy land, and plant bananas because that was the only crop that really brought in weekly income to everybody. So I remember if you want to buy something or you want to do something, you just go plant a piece of banana. In a matter of a year, you can buy whatever you would like to buy. But one day I planted a piece of plantain, and that piece of plantain was there, and I mean, there was no market for it. And I remember I went over to St. Lucia and preached a message. I did a crusade. And in St. Lucia, when I was through preaching the first night and I was talking about Dominica, a guy came to me and he told me he wants to come and see me in Dominica. I said to him, no problem. And by a week's time, he came down and when he came down, I went and picked him up at the airport. He had a sealer under his arm and he had a couple of boxes with plastics. And he said to me, he was from Jamaica. I'm coming to teach you how to do chips.
Wow.
And we just fall into that, took this plantain and I remember the following night I started with some on a pot, with a pot on some wadiab. Eyes red fire because the smoke. But on the first time I did 60 packs and I went down the road. As soon as I reached down the road, one person bought one, they tasted it was finished. And then we came back and we started making. And then from that time, the United Workers' Party was in power and they were trying to push agro processing. I remember they took me like a baby and I started traveling. I went to Martinique, I went to all over the Caribbean, in different trade shows, in different educational thing on processing. And then the chip started really making some headway into the communities, and also we start selling to the supermarkets and start doing some export to Barbados. I remember one guy from Barbados used to buy a lot of that chips. And then we moved from a clear packaging to a labeled packaging, and and so that's where it really started to see. We took not just the produce as a fresh produce and allow it to spoil. We move it into added value,
Right.
and that in itself that's the way I believe that we should go as farmers. Every farmer will not be an entrepreneur. Every farmer will not do that. But you need to. A country cannot grow or cannot develop without a factory. And that's the only country I see developing without a factory, Dominica. It doesn't have all the factories closed, and we don't have factories right now. But it's over 20 years now I'm in the business. And I think lately there we have rebranded, we have reorganized and rebrand. And I think right now we are doing much better, in spite of even though the economy is not what it ought to be. But we have changed our packaging.
What's the name of your product?
It's tropical munch.
Tropical Munch, and
Tropical munch.
and it's plantain chips,
Plantain, banana, and breadfruit. But the
breadfruit.
one that is really hitting the market with speed is the breadfruit chips. I can tell you.
I'm
I
excited
remember
about the
I
breadfruit
went to
chips.
I was traveling to Trinidad at that time, and I went and I bought a pack of chips
It's great.
at the airport. I said, let me just buy a pack of chips and have them to munch on the plane when I'm going. So I went and bought the chips, and the guy who was selling the chips said to me, "You see that breadfruit chips? You need to market that everywhere you go." And he doesn't know me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I doesn't know him, he doesn't know. You need to market that when you go on the plane, talk about it because this is the best chips. And I just say, you know, I just say when he said that, I said to myself, wow,
He
this is
doesn't know who
something
he's
else.
speaking to.
He doesn't know who he's speaking to. And not just that, the chips right now, the breadfruit chips, because I am not using the local breadfruit that we have in Dominica. I received some breadfruit plants a couple of years ago that I went before Maria. I went to a consultation on breadfruit in Trinidad, and they introduced us to Mafala breadfruit. It's smaller, and they said that this is the best breadfruit for processing. And then after the presentation was done, Marcus Garvey's son came, Dr. Garvey. He lives in Washington, somewhere up in Washington. And he came and he said to me, I love your presentation and I love to hear about Dominic. I'm going to send you some plans. And by a matter of a month, he sent the plans. And I planted the Ministry of Agriculture, they gave farmers and stuff. So, and then the hurricane came when the plant was about to bear, and the hurricane threw them down. And when I came and I took them up, I put them stand up and I tied them up and I gave them dirt and I say I'm not going to let this plant
You give them some love.
die. And they are bearing, and you call that these plants are prolific bearers. When there is no breadfruit on island, I always have breadfruit. And not
Wow.
just that, the texture of the breadfruit gives you a really, since I start making the breadfruit chips with that breadfruit, it has, the sale has just flying up because of the taste, the texture, and it's really, 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 it has changed the whole dynamics of the breadfruit chips. So we are now moving into increasing production and seeing how we can take that and make that one of Dominica's
Leading
premier
products. Yeah.
premier product.
You do all your production in Casablanca area? Where's your
Yes, in
factory?
Casibrus.
Okay.
I have we are now doing it in a, how do you call it, cottage type.
Mm-hmm.
But the plan is to expand and to get bigger.
I would like to do just, I think I'd like to do a feature on your production one of these days. Like we do
Yeah.
we do a program where we just videotape you doing the production step by step and just talking about it. You know, we go in the field, we see the breadfruit trees, we see
Yeah.
the whole process. So we'll organize that. We'll organize that.
All right.
But congratulations, because I know, in addition to hurricanes and storms and all of those things, I know it's not easy to sustain a business in Dominica right now. Well, not even right
Yeah.
now. So 20 years in the business is good longevity. And so I congratulate you on that. And you know, you see how things happen. I mean, if I can thread it through, where as a little boy you saw produce just laying there going to waste, and you say, one day I will be able to package it. And you happen to be in St. Lucia and met the right person who was willing to come to Dominica and help you to start it. And you went to a conference and somebody tells you, well, you tasted breadfruit chips, and then somebody else says, I have the good variety, and they help you get it. And it just looks like coincidence, but it's not coincidence, it's providence that the
Yes.
right opportunity shows up because you prepare yourself to receive those opportunities. And so I can only say I look forward to you continuing to, just continuing to grow and strive from step to step. I'm a mechanical engineer, so if there's any way I can help in when you set up to go to the next level, feel free to reach out. Because you might be the next coconut products, Dominico coconut products that used to buy copra from all the copra they could get in Dominica from farmers. And so many people got blessings from Dominico coconut products, send their kids to school from selling copra to coconut products, working there, buying the produce and reselling them. So we know where that happens. Okay, so it's 8:30. I think it's a good time to take a break. Let's get a word from the sponsors. And when we come back, I really want us to talk about our vision of how we can get Dominica into its mode that Billy pointed out, that Dominica should be the center of production for food security in the region. When I was in grammar school, I remember FAO used to have World Food Day. And the theme when I was in grammar school in the 80s used to be food for all by the year 2000. That used to be the theme for the Food and Agriculture Organization. Food for all by the year 2000. Well, we're 23 years past 2000. We have, and I don't think we're close to having food for all, not even in Dominica, not even in the region. So we're going to take a quick break. When you come back, we're going to just talk about, to both of you guys, both Billy Sanderson and Adrian Banis, we're going to talk about casting our minds forward and saying, what are your ideas for making agriculture more vibrant and attractive to young people? All right, so we'll be right back. Let's take a quick break for a word from the sponsors.
Sure.
Presented by.
People say I've got a great smile. Well, I have to say, this is all thanks to the professional team at Beacon Dental Group right here in Dorchester, Massachusetts. I've got world-class dental care. Beacon Dental Group has expert and caring staff dedicated to providing the most advanced and satisfactory treatment in all aspects of oral health. Their services are designed to meet your needs and give you a perfect smile, too. General checkups, cosmetic surgery, Gemini laser service, and advanced procedures, all in a state-of-the-art facility. Call or visit Beacon Dental Group today, 1026 Blue Hill Avenue, Dorchester, Massachusetts, or call 617-282-2146 for a smile that lights the world.
How much Dominican history do you know? Want to learn some fun facts? We have a great and fun way to test your knowledge and learn more about our history. Get your copy of Dominic Anu, Dominica in Puzzle. Fun for the whole family. Available now on Amazon.com. Visit pushpast10.com to learn more. Email us at dominicainpuzzle@gmail.com or call 877-698-9894. Looking to promote your business, engage current customers, and reach new people? Well, look no further. From the basic presentation to a fully fledged advertisement, use your video ads to attract customers. At Man's Audiovisual Productions, we do just that. We produce videos for business and event promotions, product demo videos, animated explainer videos, fundraiser ads, and much, much more. Engage your clients and sell online. We customize the video to match your brand design. Guaranteed to play flawless on all devices, including smart TVs. Contact us at telephone number 203-690-4342 or 767-245-6238. Visit our website, mansaudiovisual.com, or email us at derekvideo@gmail.com.
Welcome back, listeners. First of all, big up to Man's Audio Visual Video. They're the ones who make our flyers. They're the ones that do our graphics. And I bet you will agree that they do a really bang up job doing those graphics for us. So check them out, Man's Audio Visual. For if you have to do flyers, if you have to do small production, to all the way if you have an event. They can do full-fledged production. They show up with their team. They're very professional, and they are flexible in terms to match your needs. Also, Beacon Dental has been our sponsor, mainstay sponsor for the longest while. So good evening to you, Beacon Dental. That state-of-the-art dental place in Boston. Again, it belongs to Castleberry's people, of course, his wife is Montserratian, but Castleberry's people own Beacon Dental. And if you go there, I drive to Boston to do my dental work. Just state-of-the-art, everything is perfect. I live in New York City, and I've been to several of these dental places in New York City. Beacon Dental, their equipment, their service, the ambience, it tops anything you will find in the city. So you can check them out if you live in the Boston area and you go there. Tell them that you heard it on This Week in Interview and you get your first cleaning for free. Tell them put it on my tab. No, I'm serious. If you go to Beacon Dental Health and tell them that you heard about them from This Week in Interview, you get a free cleaning. Well, again, buy online, buydominicaonline.com. Also, sponsor, I always encourage you, if you're going to give a gift, look at those producers, the produce that she brings from Dominica, and make gifts out of them rather than to go buy something at Target or one of those other stores. Buy it from Dominica. It's going to carry so much more sentiment in it, and you get good products as well. Who am I leaving out? The Puzzle, Dominica in Puzzle, production by our very own Sam George and Dr. Simone. Again, as the weather gets a little chilly and you spend more time inside, it's one of those books you can give your kids. You yourself can use it to stimulate your mind, to demonstrate how much you know about your country. Now is Heritage Time in Dominica. Learn about your country. Do we really have 365 rivers? Speaking about rivers, we are talking about food production and food security with my two guests, Pastor Adrian Banis and Pastor Billy Sanderson. So it's just three old Castleberry's boys just having a good time on This Week in Interview and sharing that conversation with you. And they're with me right now because the 16th of October is Food and Agriculture Organization World Food Day. And the theme this year is water is life, water is food, no one left behind. So it fits. It seems as though it must be a Dominican who came up with that theme, because in Dominica we know what contribution that water makes to the production of food. And Billy spoke about irrigation system that was invested in the Castleberry's area to take farming out of just mere subsistence, where if it rains, your plants get water. If you some vegetables, maybe you have a bucket that you pass around and you sprinkle some water on it, you carry it, to taking it into actual serious agriculture, where you can turn on a valve and you can even program your valve that if it's dry for 2 days, it comes on and waters your plant. And you're not so dependent on whether it's a dry season or a wet season, because Dominica has free-flowing rivers 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So we could bring that technology in and really show how water is an integral part of food production. Dominica is ideal to play that role. So Billy, um, I want you to tell us about your continued involvement in agriculture, because my familiarity with you, as I said, was as an extension officer. I don't know if you still work in that capacity or if you're just a farmer now. Um, Talk about agriculture to me and cast it into the future. You know, what are your ideas? What can we do to really make agriculture attractive to a young person? Um, because it used to be attractive in our times, because guys who used to have the fanciest pickup trucks and nicest
That's right.
shoes, and they were farmers. You know, we grew up knowing
That's right.
farming to be something prosperous. But I think we
Mm-hmm.
have a whole generation of folks who are 20, 30, 35 years old who don't have that memory. How do we recapture that and place it in the imagination of a young Adrian Banis who's walking by and seeing flowers or seeing some other raw production and say, one day I'm going to get that produce of Dominica on shelves in Barbados, in New York, in those places. How do we even approach that?
Okay. Um, that's an interesting question, and it's a great question because this is what we really need to begin to pay attention to. First thing we need to understand: agriculture is a business, and like any other business, it can be very successful. All right, actually, there are farmers. I mean, in countries across the nations of the earth, and even in Dominica, who have become, I mean, I would call them millionaires out of farming. They have generated quite a bit of revenue out of farming. So one, we have to begin to introduce a system where we allow those persons in those level of experience and those level of successes to begin to pass that information down to our younger generation. So in other words, we have to have a sort of a system where you have that agricultural expertise or knowledge is being transferred to our younger people. All right, so not just the technology being transferred, the experience is being transferred, the success is being transferred. So people are in discussion is being spoken about. Now that would mean then that for our school system or school curriculum, because if we want to develop agriculture and we really want to develop it seriously and get people to get into it, just like you have business schools that teach students how to do business, it needs to be reintroduced, I should say, into our school system. It's something that is almost lost in our school system. It doesn't get the kind of priority that it used to have before. And so that's a major problem. But I would expect, or it seems to me in my own assessment, that agriculture has lost its value to the leadership of the nation. So, for one, it would mean then we have to reconnect the value and significance of agriculture, not just as an income earner for one, but one as a sort of thing that brings families together. I remember when we grew up, we all worked on our father's farm. That's why, so all of us worked there, all of us earned. That's why we first began to earn money. My dad would pay everybody who participated in the harvesting of any product on the farm, and that was every weekend. So I remember at grammar school, I remember that very clearly. They would say to me, my fifth formers would say to me, you cannot wait for Friday to run up to Castle Bruce, because as soon as it's 1 o'clock, I'm off the gate and I'm heading home. But on Monday morning, when I get back, they are all looking to me because they know that they would have received some income over the weekend. Of course, they look, it's break time. Everybody is going to come to the canteen and they're going to look for a snack. So that sort of ability, independence to earn monies and to begin to manage it. So all of that needs to be reintroduced. Now we have to understand and that has to become part of our policy, that agriculture doesn't exist in a vacuum all by itself. The whole nature, the whole environment, our systems have to be managed coordinatively and cooperatively so that we can generate. That's why in the beginning, I mentioned a Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden is a real great example of what farming is. It's a self-sustained system where everything depends on each other and supports and maintain each other. So that's why you have water. The water isn't necessarily not just for the plants, that the food that we grow, but for the trees that are going to provide the shade, that is going to continue to provide the humus, that's going to continue to nurture the soil, to build the nutrient content of the soil, to protect the soil from erosion. So all of this has to be combined if we're going to have a very dynamic and sustainable agricultural system. Of course, the marketing component and research and development has to be plugged in. It is ridiculous, and that's one of the things I think that has discouraged a lot of our farmers. And I apologize to a lot of our farmers for doing that, because I was part of the Ministry of Agriculture system who made farmers constantly plant things almost like something comes up today. We have a market for yams, so plant yams. When everybody plants yam, well, there's no structured production system. Everybody plants yam at the same time. It's in abundance. The market can only absorb 10,000 pounds. We produce 50,000 pounds. So obviously, there's a flood in the market. They cannot sell. There's a problem. So that has to be structured, and collaborative transportation that takes it to the various, the outlets, but the markets are locally or regionally, and even plugged into the agro-processing network, which is what Adrian Banis does. So there has to be a well restructured, re-engineered, if I should say, agriculture program or agriculture strategy that ties in all of this together, or environment, or water, or land, or trees, or forest, because they all impact our whole production system and ensure that we have food security and food production for years that guarantees our people can be fed, and we can, of course, continue to survive forever, or for as long as we would be alive. So it really calls for a mindset change, a mindset shift, how we look at agriculture, what we perceive agriculture to be, and to see how we can re-engineer that mindset, because that's what we have been given, and really cause that to work for us. And I will end with that statement. When I went to Taiwan in 1999, I never forgot that. The Taiwanese said to us on that trip where we were doing a study, and they said to us, every single industry that they have, and we know Taiwan is one of the top economies in the world, in the top 10 economies or somewhere around that they are in the world. And the guys said to us that agriculture gave them every single industry that they have. And it doesn't matter how rich they become and how wealthy they become and how successful they become, agriculture is going to remain their main engine of economic growth and development. This is something like that we need. Doesn't matter what happens. So we can build 1 million 5-star and 10-star hotels. We've got to understand what agriculture is to us and keep it that way.
And there's room for agriculture in that. There's room for agriculture in that scenario, because if you build a 5-star hotel, they need produce. They need top quality produce. They need meat. They need fish.
Exactly.
They need vegetables. They need seasoning.
Absolutely.
And I think the guests that would leave North America and Europe and come to a 5-star hotel in Dominica would love to get a Dominican experience in their food.
Absolutely.
So there's room for that. And as you speak about the Taiwanese, I had a very good relationship with the charge d'affaires from Taiwan back then. It was Mr. Philip Wang. And he used to, I used to go around the island with him, because they used to show fun. They introduced that sweet pawpaw and the super sweet corn, and they used to do some prawn farming with farmers and show how you grow bananas from tissue culture. And I remember all of that. And I used to go around. So I have that similar type of conversation with him, where they saw Dominica as being able to do that same thing that you speak about, really grow its economy around agriculture, because it was a natural advantage that we have in Dominica. We have fertile land, we have not a lot of water, we have enough sunshine, but not too much sunshine. We are pretty much in the center of the Caribbean, so we have customers to both sides of us. There are a lot of advantages that contribute to Dominica being a powerhouse in agriculture. But Adrian,
That's right.
I mean, you are a special person because you envisage your business as a child, and you went to places where opportunities were presented to you, but opportunities are presented to a lot of people. So it's not luck per se. It's not anybody. Let's say, okay, this guy come to Dominic and he bring a shrink wrap and a sealer and those things, and he show you how to do it. You do it for 2-3 months, and then you get distracted, and it doesn't go anywhere. You understand?
Okay.
It takes a special person to grab onto those little cracks and to spread it open to make a way to go through. How can we make that happen more deliberately and more intentionally? Because there's no doubt we have the ability to produce the raw material, and we certainly have the brain power to be able to process it. When you look forward to the future of Dominica, for one, I know you want to grow your business. We would love to see every plane that lands in Dominica leaves with trays of your chips. Every cruise ship that comes to Dominica leaves with a supply of your chips. You call it what, Munch? Your mic's muted.
Tropical crunch.
Tropical crunch. Okay.
Tropical munch.
Tropical munch.
Munch.
Okay.
Tropical munch.
Right. So we would like to see that become an established brand, you know?
Yes, a whole what do you call it? Household name.
A household name, because it's no doubt the quality must be good for it to be sustained for this long, you know?
Yes.
So let's talk about that vision, but also there's room in the market for more like you. And during COVID, we saw a clear demonstration of that. There was so many young people that started cottage industry, as you call it, and demonstrated that they have the interests and they have some know-how. How can we make that more deliberate, more intentional, and not just by accident?
Well, as I always say, I usually do teachings on vision. As I always say, you must have a vision for yourself, where you want to go as an individual, because you can't just live life, Sierra, whatever will be. You must have something that you want to follow. For instance, after Maria, when I saw the devastation of Maria and how my farm was just devastated completely, I used to do virgin coconut oil before Maria.
I heard that, yeah. You should do
And
virgin coconut oil.
this oil was the best oil in the world. People used, once a lady left right China and come down to Dominica and says she heard about the oil.
Wow.
And she recognized, they told her this is the best oil. And she came down to buy and she didn't get. Now, persons are meeting me today as we speak and saying to me, they have some oil since after Maria, and the oil is like it was processed today, or yes, since before Maria and processed like it processed today. So they're encouraging me to get back.
It's not going rancid.
No, it's not going rancid at all. It's not going rancid at all, and it's remained the same way all the time. So that shelf life is beyond what? Almost 10 years. I went by UNDP and I saw a bottle. And I was saying to Miss Esprit, Miss Esprit, you mean you still have that oil there? She told me, yeah. And the oil looking like it's still, I mean, nothing is wrong with the oil. So that tells you that you can have a technology that you can use to help improve people's life. So I was saying, after Maria, when I saw what happened, I said, I have to change my way of farming. So I began doing climate smart farming. I just developed that concept. And so I started
climate smart farming.
Yeah. So I moved into number one. I started doing agroforestry. But I never planted a lot of forestries, like I had some before Maria. I had some that the
Gommier?
one they be doing the boards,
Gommier?
mahogany.
Mahogany.
But
Okay.
the mahogany now, when it flowers and you have seeds, it fall in your farm. It grows all over the place. So I didn't plant. But I didn't plant. What I planted was exotic fruits, coconut, and I planted a lot of cocoa. Things I know that will help to manage the grass, manage my weed control.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to move into a little more less chemical and more closer to organic.
Organic. Mm-hmm.
And that in itself has grown very, very well. And then I move into pineapples, passion fruit, and I'm doing also pineapples, passion fruit, because pineapple it can grow under any condition. Passion fruit also can grow under any condition. And then I move into animals so I can get some of the dung to grow my thing, and I put a lot of exotic fruits. And then I am adding value now to that, and we supply the supermarkets, we supply a hotel, and they are our regular customers. As a matter of fact, today a supermarket called me and told me if I have bananas. So I told her I'm no longer planting bananas because a long time I quit. Because when I told them in the Ministry of Agriculture that the only way you can control black cicatoka, you have to cut down everything and then take a rest for about 5 years and then you come back. And then when we plant tissue culture. Yes, tissue culture gives you a quick. Tissue culture is very good. First crop, second crop, third crop. But when a disease falls in tissue culture, it wipes you off.
Wipes it out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wipes it out. So the best thing to do is to continue to plant our local plants because
Get
it's
the
resistant
sucker
to
and put the sucker in, and yeah.
resistant to the
Mm-hmm.
black cicatoka. But they destroy all the local plants we had before, and then they go into tissue culture, and that has killed the banana industry really. So she said to me, she said, "What you have on the farm?" I said, "Well, my little plantain I have is just for me to do my little business." She said, "Man," she said, "Hmm." So we have reached a place in Dominica where we literally moving the security of our food is unstable.
Mm.
And that's why I came up with a concept when I was saying, well, we need to have farmers groups and we work together and we begin to build farmers group, begin to build and see how we can establish agriculture and create a value chain concept. And the value chain concept is from production to the table.
Mm-hmm.
So you are not just planting, but you create model farms. The first thing that you have to do is create model farms. So you have a couple of people in a group, but you have 2 or 3 people, and then they are developing a model farm and with different things. And these model farms, you will put a small processing plant, a cottage processing plant on that model farm, and then you'll be able to process what you have. And then you move into farm tours, where you are bringing in people and you opening like a field school. People will come and learn, and they will go back and be excited and begin to develop the agriculture, not just planting and just selling everything, but you plant, you sell, but you process.
Right. Add value.
So you keep adding value. And when that happens, you find after a time, you will have more people involved in that. And then you're going to now see Dominica coming back and is beginning to get to a place where we come back to adding value to our food. Because I remember when you were growing dumb fruit, I'd love dumb fruit. I always say I have to bring dumb fruit back on the market. I
That is
have
the
to play with it until I
canning
get
of
the
fruits,
taste.
huh? Yeah.
Yes, it was very nice. Then we had Bello, we had all the different persons that was
Yeah.
that were doing a lot of
That
stuff.
Elrose,
Right,
mhm.
Elrose and Coco, and not Coco. We had the one doing the soaps.
Right. The DCP, the coconut
DCP,
products.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So in this era, I think we have to take a new approach, and that new approach is to see how we can come together and sit, especially minds like Billy and all the different. Because if you have, and then bring in young people as we go along and train them, and to see how we can get agriculture back on track. And that is how we're going to have food security, because in every village or in every region, you will have one or two model farms that will be able to talk of their success, and that will help to bring in other people, especially the young people, that will say, "Boy, this is a good concept. Let us see how we can develop that concept."
Yeah, that is true. And things that we used to have, like there used to be a lab in the garden. So if you have an idea, you can bring stuff there and you have people who can consult and help you to develop your ideas. Because even in the US, they have that. If you come up with, let's say you have a really a pepper sauce that everybody likes and you want to go into production, there are places in the US you can send your pepper sauce and they will make you a recipe so that you can know exact quantities that you need to reproduce the taste that you have. And so they'll standardize it for you. They will also do the labeling for you. Like, you have to have your list of ingredients and blah, 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 and all of those things. Billy, somebody's asking you, no, Adrian, somebody's asking you,
Adrian,
how do you compost?
Do you compost?
Do you
Question is
compost?
whether
Yes.
he does composting.
Yes, we do some composting. We do also tea manure, where we use the dung and we put it into water with different things, and we come out with a tea manure. We also do some composting too. And now what we are trying to do is to see how we can perfect the art by looking to develop some training to get it to a place where it becomes commercial. So we are moving stage by stage.
So the tea manure is like a fermentation, is it?
Yes,
Kind
like
of,
a
yes.
fermentation for a couple months, and
Yeah,
then you
liquid.
can give it to your vegetables, even your plantain, your bananas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then
The vision that you have is similar to like what we grew up with, because, for example, you talk about farine. I used to help my mother
yeah,
grow cassava, and when the
right,
cassava is good, there's one central processing plant that you bring it to, and you make your farine. The women used to learn to make pepper sauce. So you grow peppers and you can make pepper sauce. A lot of those little cottage industries that you're talking about, Billy, I mean, Adrian, a lot of those cottage industry you're talking about, we had that. The idea would be now to take it to the next level where
right.
we turn it into a small enterprise. And even egg production and poultry and small and goats and
Small ruminants.
ruminants. Rabbits. In Casablanca, I was in 4-H club and we used to have rabbits. We used to have rabbits and we used to grow vegetables right next to the police station. So you get that you get that learning. You get that learning even as, so you're not scared of going into the ground and planting and harvesting. So I hear both of you. Somebody's asking me a question as to, it's a very good discussion. It's an eye opener as to what we have lost. How do you regain without an organized body or authority responsible for bringing people together? So I guess I can maybe try to rephrase that question. Is this something that can be mostly people driven, or do we need some leadership from government to be able to realize the picture that both of you guys painted in terms of how we could move it forward?
But the thing is that we have seen the way that government has operated. Well, for me, I've seen the way that government have operated. Government comes in and they talk, they do all kind of different things, but there is nothing tangible comes down to the farmer. What I have discovered and said to myself, we need to take it up now as the city. That's why we have a group called ACAIRI, Agricultural Alliance of the Caribbean. and we have other groups on the island. So that's why I'm talking about the group concept. We can develop. I always like to make reference before I say that. But I like to make reference to that book, Magic of Thinking Big. And
Mm-hmm.
Magic of Thinking Big, I read that book, and what the guy was saying in the book is every system you see on the earth was developed by someone.
Right.
So there are people with high IQ and there are people with low IQ. The low IQ people are the people who take time out and study, research, and things. Of the high IQ people, they will just come, they have it, they know it, they see it, they pick it up already, but they don't play, they don't try to really get it moving forward. So when I read that, I said to myself, I can develop a system, right? And that's from that time I have been developing that systems. And sometimes you go, you try to talk to people, you teach people, but people love comfort zones. They love to continue to do what they are doing all the time. Even though it doesn't work, they will still continue to do it. But but the thing is, we can come up, those of us who have the ideas can come together and we can play the role of building people, getting the people that have who are like-minded and who have that desire and who want to succeed and do well, and we can move agriculture and we can move anything that we want to move on in Dominica. What we have to do is to bring our resources together. Simple. If everybody in a group and each person put $10 a month, you know the amount of money we can raise in about an, or we can put each person put $1,000 or each person put $100. You know the amount of money we can raise and we can invest and begin to invest
That is
and
true.
also.
And you can know of somebody who is in St. Lucia. You can buy a ticket for the person to come to Dominica and give you a lecture on what they do.
Right.
One of the things we let me just make a comment here
Go ahead.
is part of the grouping of which we have with Afi, Martin, and a couple others under the reformers group, and part of the workers, we began to develop what we call a roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
And in that roadmap, one of the key areas is agriculture. It's a redeveloped agriculture. And part of that is where we are pulling together in combination the farmers, the agro processors, the people involved in transportation, people involved in marketing. And one of the key additions we've had to that is a young man, a group of young people who have come up with a very brilliant computer model that seeks to harness all the information on production and markets and all of that across the nation. So anybody, any exporter, any farmer, any producer, anywhere, any supermarket, any outlet can become part of that network. And you can go into there at any given point in time to log in to find out where what is or when what is going to become available. So we're developing that roadmap. It's very integrated. All right, where we pull in a lot of what Adrian is speaking about is part of that. So we're actually in contact with persons who actually own vessels. So we're not just looking at one, the local food consumption, food security. We're looking at export. We're looking at agro processing and the whole range, the whole marketing aspect of it, and training, key and crucial, which is what Adrian is speaking about. So we have already begun to develop that, and we have been tapping into the resources of a lot of our persons or expert individuals, who are on island, off island, into that document. And of course, one of the things we intend to do, actually, we have an initiative very shortly that should be starting, where we're going to go across the nation into various communities where we can begin to share that information and get people to understand we can do it together, which is what Adrian is saying. All right, we have the expertise, we have the knowledge, we have the resources, and and how we can pull together and share, and of course share resources, share everything, so that we can build back agriculture. In other words, almost setting up that's what it is literally, setting up our own agricultural system All right, because we have realized, and I'm not afraid to say that the government's agricultural system or Department of Agriculture has crashed. It no longer functions. It's failed. I mean, it's not a secret. It's public knowledge, and so it's we the people, which is what he originally said, and I totally agree with him. We have to take this together, and that's why we have begun, and we will continue to partner with Adrian. We had a couple of discussions already. All right, where we'll further that roadmap so that we can create a new vision of Dominica, a new agriculture, which encompasses everybody, and we can make Dominica, well, I don't want to piggyback on Mr. Trump's statement, but
Make Dominica
make
great again. No,
agriculture
but
great
that
again.
that is genuine greatness. Billy, I want to put something in your ear. In 98, 99, 2000, we had a company in Dominica called Caribbees. There's a gentleman in Roseau called Cedric Pemberton. I don't know if you know Cedric. He used to teach at the college. He teach computer science at the college. You may want to talk to him because one of the projects we had done was the development of an agricultural system. Of course, but the design would still be the same, get the information from farmers and so on. He may have still have some of that code. He may have at least the document that we developed in designing it. I don't know if you remember, there was a prime unit. The Ministry of Agriculture had a prime unit that was housed in a building close to Whitchurch. So they had contracted us to do that. So you can maybe talk to Cedric and see what he still has from that system that may help rather than starting all the way from scratch. I don't know how far along you are. So I know he doesn't mind me saying that. And he's also a coder, a programmer, so he could also be valuable to the team as well. Yeah. And so the other thing I would say is that it's not by accident that it's Three Castles people that's talking about this with all of these ideas. Because growing up we had two farmers cooperative in Castlebrooks. Castlebrooks Farmers Cooperative and Anthill Farmers Cooperative. So we've seen the
success.
Groups of people come together and do agriculture successfully. And most of us owe our ability to go to school and things from those cooperatives. And Riviera Cyric had the ads, and I think there was maybe one in Geneva.
Actually, there were two more in Castlebrooks. You had the Richmond Farmers Cooperative. You had the 400 Farmers Cooperative as well.
Right, exactly. So that's four then. Yeah.
But Castlebrooks are always leading the way, in a lot of things in Dominica. But the thing is that to sustain it, that is the problem.
Sustainability.
We have to reach a place where we lead and we sustain and how we are going to sustain it is by ensuring that we continue to birth leaders. What I have seen is that the older heads are very selfish. They do not want the younger people to come in and lead. But we have to give them the opportunity, and we are there now to guide them, because you must have successors. If you don't have successors in leadership, you're going to be in trouble, and that's what will happen when I finish. Who's going to replace me?
Exactly.
A good part of your success is to be able to replace yourself. So you have a young person that's energetic and resourceful, that can take over, and you are just there to provide guidance. That means you don't have to be working so hard now. After 40 years, somebody else is carrying it on and building from what you have.
Way beyond what you even thought of it.
And the good thing is that Castlebrooks has a secondary school. And so with people like Billy and Adrian and so on, it would be nice if the school, because when I was at Castlebrooks School and we had 4-H club, farmers would come to our little plot by the police station and give us little talks. People would come and show us how to use pen manure and all of those things. And you get that practical interaction between the young people and the folks who are actually doing it. And so maybe the secondary school might be a place to start, even if it's in an informal way. let's say they have they teach agricultural science. Maybe once a month there can be agricultural science lab where somebody comes and shows them how to do certain things. They can go watch what Adrian does in terms of agro processing, and an assignment can be to come up with ideas how you can suggest to him a different an improvement on what he does, or ideas you go read up on how do you preserve chips without using too much chemical. And because the internet is available. I think I like the idea that you're saying is that yes, government should facilitate, but the people can actually come together, and the government would then fall in line and support. Marshall Lawrence is saying, is it still possible to do farming in an organic manner without some of the soil treatment products?
It is. It is possible.
Yeah, yeah, it is possible. Because we have a lot of different things that we can use. For instance, you can use neem. Neem is a very good pesticide.
Yep.
Not pesticide, nematicide.
Yeah,
There are a lot of different. I've been going around and check, and I can see a lot. You see, moringa. Moringa is another one that you can do a good combination. The weed control, you can more or less do things like mulching. And I'm developing my own. I did my own personal research. I'm doing a research now for weed control. So I put breadfruit on the edge, and I have cocoa, and I'm seeing after a time the cocoa now, the leaves are going to kill the weeds because cocoa
the heavy litter
of weed
That's
control. So as cocoa grows taller. So there are things that we can do that can naturally, that after a time will phase out the weed, and we can use different things or pesticide for nematicide, sorry. And so we can treat actually, our things.
Go ahead, Billy.
Actually, there are some plants. It's just to research them and to know there are plants that are natural insect repellents. So you can put them into your field, in between your field. They will repel things like if you have borers, if you have things like a number of insects that eat your fruit itself, the leaves of the plants. So because of the smell that they have, once the insect comes into that field, so you can actually literally plant strips of those plants in between your crops, especially the crops that are more vulnerable to insect damage. All right. So things like nematode, you have plants, once they are in the area, nematodes will not affect your plants because they don't like the smell of those plants. So it's just about researching, having a collection of those plants and actually using them intercroppingly. So if you have a strip of whatever crop, let's say plantain, before you put another strip of another crop, you can introduce a row of that in between. So that serves as a natural insect pest repellent, which reduces the level of insect pest damage onto your crop. So there's all of those systems and ways, and nature, that's nature has created its own means to take care of everything that it has. We have created the problem. Actually, commercial fertilizers, commercial pest and disease chemicals, this is what has created the pest and disease problems that we have. And I can just mention that very briefly before I wind up. If you remember when we had pink mealybug, we literally introduced natural enemies. These were wasps, parasitic wasps that would release into the environment. They feed onto the pink mealybug. And so they would bring the population of the pink mealybug way down to what you call an economic threshold, where its presence doesn't affect the marketability or the economic yield that you're going to get out of your crop. So there are all of these technologies because nature has all of those insect pests, but because we introduce so much chemicals and so much poisons into environment, we have literally killed out the enemies. All right. And so, of course, the others are just going out of control. It's like rats and snakes. If you want to control rats, you better don't kill all your snakes, because the more snakes you have, is the more the rat population keeps safe at a level. And people don't understand those things, but that's natural how God created nature and life to function.
Well, that's why so many people getting cancers and
I listen to you. I listened to you, and it had elements of both of what you guys were saying, because Adrian spoke about model farms, and what you guys just described seems to be perfectly suited for a model farm, where
Of
you
course.
introduce those special plants, you introduce special
Yeah.
techniques,
Exactly.
and so on. And once you've developed that, you can now tell people about it. You can document it. Earlier, somebody asked about the ideas Billy have. If you could develop it into a policy paper that you could
You
teach,
can.
but that
It's
would be
part of our
perfect.
roadmap. We do that.
Exactly. And then Billy, the information system that you talk about designing, that information from the model farm gets loaded onto the information
Well,
system
actually,
and
it's
is
already
available
designed, you know.
for people to get from, be able to
Yeah.
plug into and extract information and come back and log the experience that they have with the information they get. And so it continues to build and build and build until you have that vast
Exactly.
body of knowledge.
Exactly.
Yeah, because
Absolutely.
one of the things I also want to do is to link up with universities who are agriculture universities and the college and stuff like that, so they can come on the farm and they can learn.
And learn.
They'll have to just pay a fee, but it will not, for schools, we will not give a special price. They'll make a contribution because we are
Right.
trying to rebuild the ecosystem to make
That's
sure
right.
that we put the ecosystem back to where it was. And so we're
Absolutely.
looking at to integrate with bees so we can also have pollination. And we also, persons who want to come and for a farm tour and eat from what we grow. We have an opportunity for farm tours. We have our brochures and everything, and you can come, and when you come on the farm, you can see what we do. You can ask questions, and then you can sit and eat and drink
From the farm,
and
That's
enjoy
right.
drink
from
the
what we
tea,
done.
sip on the tea, drink the
Yeah,
juice, eat
right,
the chips.
right.
That's
That's
right.
that's a brilliant idea.
Natural.
That's a wonderful idea.
So
That's a
this is the
wonderful
kind
idea.
of farming.
And
This is
right
what
away,
we
you know,
bring back.
but you know what that's going to do. So you see how it plugs in now integratedly. Certainly, our health system, the health of our people is rejuvenated, is restored. Because when you begin to reconnect all the pieces back in the natural way like this, of course, you're creating a healthier environment, you have healthier foods. And if our people begin to adopt that as a lifestyle practice, as a lifestyle change, then instantly the health of our people changes completely. So you now
Right.
have a healthier population, people with more energy, more enthusiasm, they can work better, they're enjoying their life better with less health complications. And of course,
Yeah,
you'll be able to save on all of the money that you pay for tests and going to doctors and all of those surgeries and all of that.
because
One of the listeners call it regenerative agriculture.
Absolutely.
yeah,
You can call it that.
one of my vision was when by the year 2020 or 2021, I am not going to buy anything in the store.
Right.
I want everything going to come from the farm, and I've achieved that goal.
Of
I don't have
everything,
to
yeah.
go in store and shop. If I want to shop, I shop. If I don't want to shop, because I have enough
You,
fruit.
That's right.
I have enough.
you have enough
Absolutely.
of different foods to
I can live on
including
what
you said you have some livestock.
yeah.
Yep,
Well,
exactly. Yeah,
I really need meat.
absolutely.
I really need meat, but when it's a pleasure to
That's
drink a jelly every day.
that's fish farming.
Right. Well, this is the next thing.
Yeah, that's
This
fish
is the
farming.
next thing I want to go into. But it's a pleasure to drink a jelly every day, to eat a grapefruit,
Of course.
to eat a
Of
fruit.
course. Of course.
Billy, you
Then
want me
you
to
go back
you
to the
want
old time thing
with
like you
that
do the visu.
conversation with that conversation you want me to move back to Dominica?
Then you have your visu, you have all your
I'm very
cane,
happy about that.
you can make do your visu with your coconut in it and everything, and enjoy your rose breadfruit, your rose plantain. You can go and take a bath on the
That's
river,
right.
next side by the river. So you can enjoy life in a natural way once
And
again.
guess what? With a glass of the best mineralized water on the planet, natural from Dominica.
Yes.
So
yes.
all minerals to restore your bones, restore your muscles, restore all your tissues, your cells, your organs. In that
Amen.
water, it can go wrong.
You know,
There's a suicide taking water from it. And when I drink that, I feel energized, man.
Wow.
Of course.
I say, what? That tastes so nice.
Of course it is. It's coming from the rocks.
Yes.
All minerals are stored in the earth, in the rocks. Yep.
Martin Cornelius is saying hello to you guys, and you say great program.
Oh my
Agriculture.
goodness me. That's a
All right.
long, very long time ago. I haven't seen this man.
Martin, right?
I worked together with Martin. We played cricket together. We
Yeah.
did a lot together.
Yeah. So he's
Yep.
saying hi. He said agriculture is an art and a science
So big
of
up,
tilling the
Martin.
Yep.
soil. Yep, Martin. There are lot of comments, a lot of feedback. Um, a lot of folks are enjoying the program. So, gentlemen, what's your take on both aquaponics and hydroponics? I'm not sure if either of you are
Well, I
familiar
remember
with it.
I
Yeah.
heard a Chinese said one time he was down in by the playing field. He came to the agricultural center and they were talking about aquaponics and hydroponics. And you know
Mhm.
what he said? The Chinese said, Dominica, you don't need to grow. You don't need to do that because you throw a piece of wood on the soil, it grows. So hydroponics is for places that haven't got land to grow stuff. And then we have the rain, we have everything. So I have never really one that I've never really tend to
You haven't explored it too much.
exploit.
Mhm.
But who knows? It's something that we can
Billy,
exploit.
are you familiar with it?
Yes, I am familiar with it. And I actually, that was part of a program I did one in
Mhm.
Taiwan. And just recently I had the opportunity to view that in St. Martin, actually, because I was working for a group there looking to do that. It has its place. It's not something I am very much keen on. I will be very honest, because I will tell you, as we're discovering more and more the importance and the significance of connection to the ground,
Yeah, to
connection
the
to the
soil.
earth, what
Soil,
that
yeah.
means for your health in terms of rejuvenation. All right.
Right.
And the ability, the extraction of natural minerals from the earth by the plants into the foods that it produces, that eventually when you eat it you get into your body. So when we begin to look at all of those dynamics, and for a country like us in Dominica, if we absolutely have to, we can do it with some modification that keeps it pretty much as natural, close to what we have as much as possible. But it's not something that I would really highly recommend for us in Dominica in particular. I think we have all the natural attributes for and the abilities and capabilities to do agriculture and do it very well. And of course, and even just the health part that comes out of doing it naturally. I would strong, because this is one of the things, one that's as part of our roadmap. That's one of the things we are very, very focused on. Agriculture has to be tied into health. We have to see our agriculture as what is going to give us our health back. That is how it was intended to be from the very beginning. It's because we have gone into concrete jungles, that's why people are health are failing. The more we can get back to nature, get back to agriculture, is the more our people will begin to be healthier. My dad is 93 years. I keep telling people that every day. He every day is on the farm. His cutlass is bigger than mine. His boots is bigger than mine. You hear me?
He's
Every
93.
single day.
Wow.
And
Wow.
the last time he went to the doctor told him, when he looked at his book, he said, when last you were here? It was about 45 years ago he had been to the doctor.
Wow.
Wow.
Everything he eats comes somebody produces from his farm. And I
And
mean,
also, what Billy saying is very important. What I realize, all the trees that are not dying and they continue to live. These are the things that we have to live on, because they produce more
that's
life,
right.
Mhm.
more life.
That's right.
So,
Exactly.
and
Yep.
dead food, in my research and my study, you have a lot of people eat a lot of dead food. Eating
That's
food
right.
that you put on the fridge, this is not food. That food is not good for you because it is dead.
It's
There is no
dead.
enzyme in them. So we have to eat fresh food every day. We have to eat fresh things every day, fresh fruits and vegetables. So we have allowed the
Yep.
system to clog us up, and most people reach a place where they just depend upon the system. So I have to go and
Yep.
shop.
Yep.
When they go and shop, what they buying?
And
If you have a look
we
at
don't have to.
when That person work all through the month, and at month when they get their salary, they go and shop. What they buy?
And spend half of it in the supermarket.
Tell me what they buy.
When you can,
Corned beef, sardine, sausage,
I
rice,
know,
flour,
I know,
and this is
I
what I
know.
do. I'm doing a beautiful breadfruit
Exactly,
flour right now, and it's really
exactly,
nice. The breadfruit flour. And these are things that we
exactly.
can use to do our cakes. To use our.
And
I
we have
even
to
say
go back
one of
to,
those days I want to build an oven and
yep,
bake
that's
my
right.
cake and my and you can use the same cane juice to make the cake. So you are not just farming, but you are developing
Yep,
at a
yep,
wholesome
exactly.
A
way of
different
A
life,
level.
holistic program. That's
a
correct.
holistic
Yeah,
way of life, right? And then your children,
absolutely. I haven't eaten chicken in over 20 years now. I
Wow.
don't eat it. As a professional agriculturist, I will never put chicken in my mouth anymore.
yeah.
Wow.
If I tell you what you might not, people want KFC and all these people will go crazy mad with me. They might want to sue
Somebody
me,
just
but
said, don't forget
that's something
KFC.
people should not eat. People should never eat
You forget
KFC.
what?
That's one of the worst things on planet that destroys your health completely.
That's not good to eat. That's people should not eat that. Also we have a lot of teas in Dominica, a lot of
I should
natural
not eat that.
teas that you can drink to calm you
Yeah,
down,
pigeon peas and
keep
all
your
those
pressure, keep your pressure under
the nice
control.
kingpins that just vine up all
And
along on your trees.
I mean,
Come
Dominica
on,
can be really the nature island of the world,
beautiful.
and we can produce
That's correct.
all the
Absolutely,
natural things that are there. If we have
absolutely.
people, I always say that we have a lot of people that study chemistry, but what they study chemistry for is to go and work in the system. None of them is coming back and go in the mountains and do research and find teas and find things to. There are things that you can use to
Great,
um
Alvin. I
to,
like that.
to preserve your products, like your preserve, like
Yeah,
your if you are doing jams or you are doing
absolutely.
jellies, you can use natural things like lime, like natural things that you
A
can use to
lot.
preserve
Yeah,
your stuff. But people rather go for xanthan gum and
I
I was
understand.
the other was saying simple. If you want to get your pepper sauce to a place where it is not running, but it becomes you have it in a place it's just you can pour it, but it's not running. Instead of
Mhm.
using things like xanthan gum or using all kind of different things, what about our toloma?
Mhm.
We can use the
Yep,
toloma and to ensure that we
of
mix that
course.
with our pepper sauce. But people will check, well, toloma, why should I
Yep,
put
they don't
toloma
need
in
that.
that? Because they are not hearing that toloma can do even a better job than what you buy, the chemical that you pay thousands of dollars for. You can use the
But
toloma.
apart from that, Toloma has additional
I'm
health
really
benefit.
liking this discussion that we're having. Because it's World Food Day, and we talked about being able to
Yeah,
provide food, and what you're saying is that the food you
That's right.
eat is supposed to be alive and therefore
yeah,
contribute to your health.
Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
doing it at a level where it is cheaper
Of
because it's
course.
produced
Yeah,
locally and it's more beneficial. And
That's
it
correct.
stays in the economy and regenerates and changes the
That's
economy.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So gentlemen,
Because
I have indulged in you for an hour and a half. I'm going to bring the conversation to a close, or we make some
no
closing
problem.
remarks. Adrian, I
Mhm.
would love to have you back to just talk about your business, your farming, and your business. You can bring some samples on and show
Yeah.
people and tell them. As a matter of fact, when you give your closing remarks, feel free to tell people where to find your products. I have no
Mhm.
issues with that whatsoever. Um, Billy, you as well, when you do your closing remarks, if you, I don't know what enterprise you're into, if you provide a service or whatever it is, if you're, feel free to feel absolutely free to let people know where they can find out more about what you do and what's going on. So, Adrian, I'm going to start with you. Let's do
Yeah.
some closing remarks. We were talking about food production, food security. Absolute best person to be on the program because you're so enlightening
That's
about
right.
taking it to the next level, but at the same time keeping it
Mhm.
practical and close to the
That's right.
ground, close to us. So let's hear your final closing remarks. I don't know if there's anything we didn't get to talk about that you intended to or wanted to, or if it's just a recap. Just feel free.
All right, I just want to say it was really a pleasure being on the program. And when I heard about it, about the program, I said to myself, yes, I want to be a part of that. Because what we want to do is let the world hear, especially in this time that we are living in, that we can
Yeah.
restore what was lost, and we can bring back agriculture in a more scientific, in a more sustainable way, especially in the midst of climate change. And we look at added value. Added value is very important because you don't want to sell all your crops, all your produce. You want to make sure you sell your produce, but also you develop and products out of your produce, and that is what is going to help you to grow. It's going to help your business to grow. Yeah, my one of the things that I really want to do before I leave the earth is to set up a training center, like a skills training center, and to see how I can train people in agriculture, in any walks of life. You can train them, because what I'm saying is, if you are not reproducing what you are, who you are, or reproducing what you
That's
have,
correct.
you are going to fall short, and then nothing is going to happen in the future. So I'm looking forward to establish that, so we can train more people into agriculture, into different modules, and also into processing. I want to see myself becoming a agro processor, agro business, or agro processor consultant, where I can go there and to help young people to build and to develop their business ideas, especially when it comes to processing, and where we can use natural things. So we would like more people like the chemical engineers and the chemists and the people in biology, where you can come in and be a part of that, and to see how we can develop things from our natural resources, and to get them to become added value, and we can use them now to see how we can develop a healthier society, because we are using the local things that we have in order for people to eat and
Absolutely.
drink, and not the chemical that is out there that people are just drinking. You just open a cup, it shouldn't do that, but you can get a nice natural drink that you can drink from passion fruit, from grapefruit, from
That's right.
oranges. You can have a nice
Sugar
cocoa
cane.
tea. People, cocoa tea is very, very nice. I went to Grenada. When I went there,
Mm-hmm.
they brought tea for me. I said, no, I want cocoa tea. I don't want that this um, tea bags. I want cocoa tea. And they find me cocoa tea. And every day I would drink some cocoa tea. And because cocoa tea is a very good, if you ferment the cocoa properly, because right now I'm practicing and doing fermentation of cocoa, and so I can move into chocolate, and so that, so I want to make sure that all the things that I do, I can add value to it. But it takes time. You have to give it one of the.
There's a biochemist in Dominica that is doing chocolate, and cocoa as well. I don't know if you know Lucia Sandy.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
I'm selling cocoa to her.
right, right.
I
So
sell cocoa.
she's a trained chemist.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, food chemist and biochemist. So yeah, there are resources that can assist
Yeah.
in some of those
I
things.
also do I also do some training in food product development and food
Hmm.
in agro processing in Taiwan. And
Okay.
how I got to go to Taiwan, when the Taiwanese ambassador tasted my chips, he told me, I am going to send you to Taiwan. And at the time he said that, by the end of the year, I'm in Taiwan. Because he was so
You,
impressed with the chips. He told me,
yeah,
man, I'm going to
yeah,
send you to Taiwan.
yeah. You do so much with the little
Yeah.
opportunity people give you, you take it and you expand it,
And then
and
That's
and
right.
there's no
I
doubt.
went I went to the Taiwan University and did a 6 week training in agro processing.
And now you're ready to share that knowledge with others.
Yeah, I want
That's
to
what I'm
share it.
hearing.
That's why
Yeah,
you have to keep the knowledge. You have to try
yeah.
to pass it on to the next generation, so the next
Hmm.
generation can pass the next generation, and that's how we have to do it. So
Certainly.
all in all, I want to say, man, tropical munch, you can find it in the supermarkets in Dominica. You can
Mm.
find it in stores, also in the seaport and the airport. Anytime you come to Dominica and you are going back to Dominica, you will get it at the airport. Just ask for tropical munch.
Tropical munch. All right. Billy,
You are going to enjoy it to the
Adrian,
fullest.
certainly, I definitely want you back. We're going to talk just to spend an hour and a half talking about all the stuff that you enjoy. You talk about breadfruit is something I'm very excited about.
Yep.
Um, I live in New York City, and all of those things that you say that you get, I can just go, I can walk 10 minutes and get them. But it's different.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's very different to walk out on the street and get a jelly and you're drinking it, but you know it take a ride on a plane, it probably sit down somewhere for a week. You know, I get breadfruit, I
That's
get
right.
plantains, and all those things. But it's a different experience when you are
Mhm.
consuming it in
That's right.
Dominica. I can
Yes,
tell
yes,
you
yes.
that much. I can tell you that much. It's the second best
And
thing that you can actually get
breadfruit
it.
is going to be the world staple soon, because
Yeah.
that is the crop or the food that is going to stand.
And you say you do
Breadfruit.
the flour. You say you do breadfruit flour.
Yeah, flour.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very
I
good.
do the breadfruit chips. Yeah, breadfruit is something I'm excited about. All right.
Yeah.
It
So
is me.
so Billy, your closing remarks. Let's hear what, talk about whatever you want to talk
Oh.
about, food, Wednesday walk, PRM, whatever you want to talk about.
All right. That's well. Thank you very much for having me here tonight, and it's been very wonderful to be able to just share those experiences and to share that information. And for me, I'm very strong on health. So at present, I do a very serious merger between agriculture and health. So this is my focus. A lot of times when I speak to people in discussions, in sessions, in trainings, and teachings, I teach a lot where I help people to understand how if we get back to agriculture and we come back to nature, we can regain our health. And we can regain our health naturally by not having to do all of those go for all of those pharmaceutical recommendations and protocols that have been set up. So I'm very big on that. And for me, presently, I'm part of our team, the Wednesday Walkers, yes, the reform movement. And our focus is looking at a reformed Dominica, looking at how we can use all of the natural attributes that God has given us, which is tremendous wealth, to generate for us the kind of economic prosperity and success that we need. All right. We have the capacity, we have the ability in terms of natural resources, human resources, in terms of every bit of resource that we have. It's just a matter of how we harness that together. How do we manage it properly? And I always like to use that word tending. How do we, because Dominica is like a garden. And so it requires tending because it has several components. It's like a farmer that has a livestock and tree crop and root crop and vegetables. And how does he tend all of that beautifully together so that he can get the best possible success out of his crop, out of his farming enterprise? And that's where we are at now. So that's why we're putting together what we call the roadmap. And it's tying a number of things in together. So for instance, our agriculture program and our roadmap is not single by itself. So we are tying agriculture into tourism and into health. Because of course your tourism has to inform agriculture. You cannot develop a tourism product and industry without developing an agriculture to cater for the tourists that you're bringing, to give them your natural experiences, your natural food taste that they're coming for and they're looking for. All right. And you cannot build a healthy people without restoring agriculture. You have to do that because, of course, all of what the body needs to be rejuvenated, resuscitated, comes from the food the nutrient balance. All of that comes from the foods because it comes from the soil. That's where it's stored. And so this is where our focus is now, as in this roadmap that we're developing. All right. And we're just starting to take it out to the nation. I'll be happy maybe another time Tony will come on there with you and where we can discuss that after
Certainly.
myself and a couple of members of
Certainly.
that team.
Hmm.
So we can discuss that integrated roadmap together and really have our listeners call in and hear what it's all about. And so this is big for us because we know, I'm convinced totally, and the rest of us on my team, that we can turn this economy, this country back around in 3 years, focusing on two things: agriculture and water, which is central to the discussion we've had here tonight. All right, and not just turn back the economy, but we are able to provide a very wonderful standard of living for every Dominican if they decide to return, by really developing and exploiting those two natural resources that God has given us, and given us the tremendous ability and capacity to actually manage it, and manage it well. So I am.
Some people
Mhm.
asking for your contact info.
No,
Oh,
I'm going to come right into that now. So
okay, go ahead.
what I do really is a lot of consultancy, basically. So I'm a professional landscaper as well. So I do landscaping from A to Z. Anything you want, from the time you want to think about a design, concepting it, to estimates, everything way down to management of a landscape, and also, of course, agriculture. So if you want to develop your farm, you have lands and you're not sure what's the best way to go, I can provide you that kind of consultation, put a farm plan together for you that outlays everything in order, how you want that, how you should do it, how to phase it in to cater for your market, and all of that kind of stuff. So that's the work that I'm into. That's really, and my contact details. Of course, you can reach me at paradiseville2023@gmail.com, because the name of my business is Paradise Management Services. Notice that word paradise, because that's where we live. Dominica is paradise. That's why the name of my business is Paradise Management Services. So I look at management of properties, management of lands, how we do,
Give
the
me
whole
the
landscape.
email
So
again. Paradiseville.
Paradiseville, all
Uh-huh.
right, 2023@gmail.com.
Okay.
And my number is 613-7485. All right. Yeah. So we're about really trying to help people understand what we've got, the wealth that we've got, the beauty that we've got. And I say that with no apologies. We are second to none in this region, and we literally are one of the richest countries, if not the richest country in this region, in the Caribbean region. We just need to know and learn and understand how to manage it properly, so we can extract that wealth and convert it to our people, to our economy, to the country, and to the region by extension. All right.
All right.
So this is really what I'm all about, and my passion, my heart, my energies are all into that. If you notice when I speak, you can hear all of me going into it, because
Oh,
agriculture,
definitely. Yeah.
it flows all through my blood system. It cannot disconnect from me.
No, certainly.
It
And
cannot.
so, guys, you hear it. If you have a farm and you're trying to pivot, go in a different direction, get new ideas, redevelop
Yep.
it, we have two gentlemen on here that are
Absolutely.
willing to help you. You can
Absolutely.
contact Billy Sanderson, 767-613-7485, or
Mhm.
paradiseville2023@gmail.com. You can find
That's
him
correct.
there. And folks, as
Yeah.
I said, if
Let me
you
give
up
you
there and you
my,
have,
my, my
Yeah.
yeah, Billy, I come to you.
Adrian want to give his contact
Yeah,
details.
I know.
yeah.
I'm going to as well. I'm
Oh,
just saying
Okay.
that not just folks who are not using their land. Somebody may be using their land. Sometimes
And the
the
one.
hurricane,
That's
the
right.
hurricane devastated what they were doing, or there is
Mhm.
some crop that is suffering from disease, and they're trying to get ideas as to what can I really do with my land to maximize and optimize its use.
Absolutely.
That's the kind of thing that you do.
Yeah.
And right,
Rebuilding
so
agriculture into our kind of into economy.
in the economy. Adrian, I'll come to you and tell folks how
Ye-
they can reach you. Mhm.
yes, you can reach me at 245
Mhm.
1460 245 1460, and my
Mhm.
email address is very simple: pastorbanis@yahoo.com.
Pastor
Now,
Panis.
sometimes you give your contact information, people never really contact, but I would love them to contact me. We also do some
Yeah.
consultancy in climate smart farming.
Mhm.
We offer that climate smart farming. We do that, and also in agroforestry. If you want to do agroforestry, we can also help you to
As
develop
in
your farm.
planting beneficial trees
Yes.
and so on, foresting your
Mhm.
land smartly.
And
Okay.
planting them in a smart way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't go and just plant trees like you crazy, but you plant them
Anyhow, yeah.
in
I
a smart
remember
way.
growing up, every farm used to have a windbreak and they would have
Right.
buffers and all of that.
Absolutely, that's correct.
Mhm.
Yep.
And then we also do now getting involved in training people in agro processing. So if you want to start up a business and you want to do processing, we can help you start up. We can train you whatever product
Yeah.
that you want to develop. We do product development. We do labels.
Mhm.
My daughter and I, we have a company now, and we do. She do labels. She
Okay.
she also work with various standards, so we can. So we are taking you from scratch and launch you into something that you can get
And you're getting professional, you know,
professional. Yeah,
That's right.
and I suppose in the
real
sense
professional.
that you understand how to preserve what you're
That's
Yes,
right.
making, how
Mhm.
to package it, how to
Mhm.
bottle it, how
everything,
to everything,
everything,
Right.
that sort of thing,
everything.
and what type of equipment, what are the good
Yes, we
brands you
also
can
we
buy,
also order
and so on.
equipment. We also do order equipment. If you like any equipments, we can also order that for you.
Awesome. That's awesome. So your phone number is 767-245-1460, and
Yeah.
it's pastorbanis@yahoo.com.
.com.
Yeah, and
Also,
we
I have a
really
congregation. Also, I have a
uh-huh.
congregation. I pastor some young people, and I'm now growing and training to become soldiers for the Lord, and not just soldiers for the Lord,
Amen.
but I want to empower them to become sustainable believers. We are shifting from the
Amen.
religious way of doing things and the religious way of developing people in the kingdom, and we are coming up with a kingdom mindset that will get you liberated and free, that you can build your life and you can make a meaningful contribution to
To
society.
society.
Certainly.
Amen.
All right. So
Amen.
gentlemen, I want to say thank you. You know we've been there for 2 hours.
Yeah,
I know that.
And I
but
and I
it's nice, but
appreciate
it
that.
was just
And
nice chatting.
yeah, and
It was.
our audience stayed with us and are interacting with
That,
us. So that
that's
also
great.
says that we're doing a good job, and which means that both of you guys need to come back.
That's fine.
You know,
Whenever you're ready.
uh,
Well,
Adrian,
yep.
I'm fascinated with all the things that you do and all the ideas that you have. And Billy, of course, we talk every so often.
Yeah.
So you know, some of the things, some of the ideas, and some of the involvement need to get
Mhm.
more air and
Right.
more. You know, let more people know of it. And so I really appreciate the way the conversation went. It was talking about food and food security, but we
That's
take it
right.
to a different level, not just food, but
That's
good
correct.
food,
That's
healthy
right.
Yes.
food,
Hmm.
food that enhances your energy, enhances your health. Somebody said you need to make your food your medicine.
Yep.
That's
So
correct. I love that.
so
I love
when you eat, you eat to heal anything that is afflicting
that.
you,
Absolutely.
and to prevent more affliction, to make you
That's
healthy so
correct.
you're resistant. Because you talk
Absolutely.
about your 93-year-old father that goes to the farm like he's a young man still.
Yep.
You know, so it's not just living long, it's living long well, you know.
Yep.
That's correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's correct.
And the other half of the thing is that if you don't make your food your medicine will become your food.
That is so right. You are so right.
Because
That is so true.
you'll have a handful of pills that you
Food
have to
of
take every
medication.
day. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
your medication is going to feel like your eat and drink,
That's correct.
so that nobody should have to go through that in Dominica. The month of October is many things. One of the things it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Hmm.
And you know, last year we had some guests on, Yvonne Alexander and the folks from Dominica Cancer Society, and we learned that over 200 people die a year in Dominica from cancer. Now, if you know, well, we know that there are 52 weeks in a year. That averages to more than 4 people a week dying in Dominica
That's
of
correct.
cancer.
That's
When
correct.
you when
That's
when you
correct.
put it in those terms, it's stacked, you know.
It is. It is.
More than, and the number was trending upwards. It wasn't like it was a flat average. It was trending
Yep.
every year. It was going up. So maybe this year it's 5. But when you think that in Dominica, with all our clean air and our clean water and our fertile land,
Mm-hmm.
4 people die of cancer every week. You
That's high.
know, that
And
that brings that brings our conversation into very stark relief in how essential and critical
I
it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What you were saying, Billy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I remember since around 2005, the Caribbean Food and Nutrition Institute produced a report, and they said the rate of those non-communicable diseases in Dominica is too high for the vast amount of natural foods, and they were very specific to address that it has, which really are the cures for most of those non-communicable diseases. And so it means that there's been a shift in our diet, what we
Yeah.
eat and what we do.
Yeah, because people are eating too many salty food and processed food.
Mhm,
Not
mhm.
eating
Yep,
enough natural foods.
Yeah.
People eat a lot of
that's correct.
salt, they eat a lot of sugar, they eat a lot of processed food. Everybody in our concurs. A child goes to school, the parents give him money. What is he going to buy? A conkers, a this, or that. But we have to, I mean, just with a piece of rocking, without a piece of rocking, that
Nothing.
is
Mhm.
good natural sugar for your body. I mean, just with a fruit. But I love banana. I don't know why I love bananas because I used to pass in that field every day. I remember when I was going to school, I used to eat a whole basket of banana. Fresh banana. And I just love, I buy banana every day. You know, when I go to I
And you
say,
know, it
you
comes
going
from the
banana, you buy
soil.
banana. I say, I
It
just
comes
love it.
from the soil that's rich, and
That's
so
right.
it's when you eat it, it's coming with
It's
all of
Yeah.
these
mineralized.
nutrients and stuff.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can make your
Mhm.
ice cream without buying ice cream mix. You can just take banana and
Yep.
different things
I
and
make my own
blend them.
ice cream.
Yeah. Avocado, man. Avocado is
Oh
so,
yeah,
I mean, we have so
it's the best.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a shift.
So
But
much.
gentlemen, so I like what we spoke about. I like the fact that we are talking about spreading the word and
Yes.
recording it and putting it in a format where it can reach people. So I wish
Amen.
you continued success, both of you, in your
Thank
continued
you.
energy, continued good health, continued, you know, brain power. And I want to
Amen.
say I really appreciate you guys coming. Thank you so much. And I look
You're
forward
most
to the next
welcome.
time for you guys are on there. Thank
You're
you.
most welcome and we really
You're most
appreciate it.
welcome unto your audience. They've been great.
Your
We
audience
appreciate
also.
all
Good
the
night,
questions and the
everybody. Trust
comments.
you
Yeah.
all learn something, you all receive something. If you want to reach me, you can just call me, no problem.
Yep.
We can chat and whatever way you want me to contribute to your development, I'm ready to do it.
Teachings, training,
and we
whatever.
appreciate that. So thank you, gentlemen, and all the best for the rest of the week, the rest of the
Thank
evening.
you, and same to you.
Yeah.
And to
All
your
right.
Yeah,
Thank
you have
audience.
you.
my you need to give me a call, Tony,
Yes, I have
Mr.
a number
Driver, so we
for
can
sure. Hmm.
have a chat.
Okay.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Wonderful.
audience, there you have it. We stayed on there for 2 hours, but the 2 hours just flew by. There's so much to talk about. Both of these gentlemen, Adrian Banis and Billy Sanderson, they have so much experience and so much to share. And I know you enjoyed it because you were participating. So thank you for that. Um, there's a lot to do, and the opportunities are there to do. The opportunities there to improve, and so let's see how we can marshal our resources and make it happen. My friend, my classmate, I saw Sharon was on there. She works at Dexia. Um, and we know, the positive and forward-leaning people. Engage her. I'm sure she will have ideas, and she would receive ideas from you and have discussions about marketing and all of that. So, shout out to Sharon. Um, but my guest tonight on this weekend interview was Mr. Adrian Banis, a pastor, and also Pastor Billy Sanderson. We spoke about World Food Day, which was recognized on the 16th of October by the Food and Agriculture Organization. The theme this year is water is life, water is food. Leave no one behind, which means that everybody should be entitled to um, healthy food that is grown with clean water, and that makes it even healthier. So I want to say good night, and we will see you one more time on next Wednesday when we get to spend, well, tonight it was 2 hours, when we get to spend an hour or so together talking about these really, really important conversations, important topics. Good night, folks. Thank you. Oh, before I go, let me just say thank you to my team for helping me put this program together. We come up with these wonderful guests, and you guys organize it. And I totally have a good time and enjoy it. So thank you so much. Good night, listeners.